You know him from, all his amazing coverage over on Fox Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, a legend, Alexi Lalas.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be here. By that math, if my Rutgers math is correct, then one of you are on each side. So I'm not going to ask you which side you're on. It doesn't matter. Plenty of people hate watch me. It's okay as long as you're clicking on that button. That's all I want.
That's your job, and you're doing well, buddy.
We'll reveal who's who at the end of the program. Alexi, thank you so much for joining us, man. Yeah, we've known you for years. You've been honestly one of our most ardent supporters, and so it's an honor to have you on the TV show. We have to immediately discuss the U.S. men's national team, right? Because that is I don't know how close we are to the eject button or whatever, but things seem to be a little bit wild. At the time, we're recording this on Tuesday morning before the match against Honduras, after the match, obviously, against Canada. So you're currently in Minnesota getting prepared for that, but the immediate reaction to the Canada loss, 2-0 out in Hamilton, what were your thoughts?
I was obviously disappointed. I was a little perplexed by Gregg Berhalter's comments. He's a smart dude, and I didn't think whatever he was trying to say, he didn't say it, and certainly the interpretation from a lot of people left a lot of us scratching our head in terms of the game that he saw. Part of me, the romantic side of me actually has, an incredible respect for Gregg Berhalter because, he is a true believer and he wants to die on that hill, and he would rather lose playing the way he wants to play than, betray his ethos.
Sure.
But we're qualifying for the freaking World Cup here, all right? Get the result. We didn't get the result. It's not the end of the world. By the time you are watching this, the game against Honduras will have happened. It is, in my estimation, the most important game in Gregg Berhalter's coaching career. And I think that this team will rebound and get the 3 points and put us well on the way to qualifying for the World Cup. But I think we're looking at these moments, especially a game against Canada, and saying, well, what are we? What do we want to be? And I think in our effort to progress and evolve as a team, we may have thrown the baby out with the bathwater a little bit and lost some of that, I don't know, for lack of a better word, Americanness that has made us who we are. I mean, this wasn't going to be a soccer game up in Canada. This was going to be a bar fight. Yeah. And we were not prepared for a bar fight and got our ass kicked.
When it comes to the way the team has played over the last few international windows, there does seem to be a lack of a bite, a lack of a sharp tooth attached to the squad that we have. Is there a way where we can point to what that is? Because if there's one thing about, the squads that you played with, that was probably the most significant part, which is like, yeah, okay, maybe we won't have possession, but we're going to get you when we get you. And there seems to be that little bit of a missing, that little bit of a sharp tooth, if you will. I really don't know what the other word for it would be. Why do you think that is? And is there a way to solve that, in time to qualify for this World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it is to be expected. You're trying to do something and play in a way that we've never played before. And sometimes in order to evolve, in order to progress, the hardest part is that last part of becoming something you're not. And again, a part of me kind of wants us to be just the best version of ourselves. But I respect that, and I think Gregg Berhalter believes that his mandate is to try to do something different. And as long as we can still go to World Cups and still win games, but I do think, you guys have watched this team. Maybe I'm crazy, but the times when this team has resonated the most, when it is really not just from a success on the field perspective, but just from the eye test, has actually been when there's kind of been a regression, if you will, and being much more of that team that we used to see. When we saw this team, beating Mexico and doing those different things, there was that grit, there was that harshness, and there is beauty in that. And that's why I say, if we're throwing that away, I think we need to be careful, because no matter who you are and how big you get or how expansive and romantic you play, at a certain point, you got to be able to fight. And that was what was disappointing to me against a team like Canada. And by the way, the irony is that Canada played the way we used to play.
Right.
And that's how they beat us.
Because we should address this, because I think this was kind of wild too, from Herculez Gomez just recently on Football Americas with Sebi Salazar. Really, I mean, one of the most direct kind of points about the U.S. men's national team, about Gregg Berhalter, to the point where it's almost, I don't know what the code is for former USMNT guys, but I don't know. I don't think Herc got it, because he didn't receive this memo, because he was really direct in saying, like, tactically that Berhalter was poor, that the team is soft, and it begs the question, like, are we kind of blowing smoke, a little bit, because we see players, we have players at Chelsea, Juve, Barca. These are American players playing for the national team, and then when they all get together, that heart that I think we used to see from the national team, it doesn't seem to be equivalent.
I mean, look, I love Herc. He's a friend of mine. He's in the entertainment business, but let's be honest, he's virtue signaling. I mean, he's playing to the crowd by saying that, and he thinks that by saying that,
honestly,
going to...
Alexi, it's wild to hear that coming from Alexi Lalas. It's a little.
He must be reading the Alexi Lalas textbook.
Listen, it takes one to know one, guys. It takes one to know one. I get it. I love it. I love. I was looking at that, saying that's good, Herc. That's gonna get people to pay attention. And I'm not saying that he doesn't necessarily believe in it, but the performance was perfect. I loved it. I loved it. Now, having said that, he is going to gain. Hercules is going to gain some credibility from those that just, no matter what Gregg Berhalter does, they don't like him. And certainly the game against Canada was, as is every game evidently, a referendum on not just Gregg Berhalter, but soccer and who we are as human beings and all that kind of stuff. As I said before, the game here in Minnesota against Honduras is the most important game in Gregg Berhalter's coaching career. If he were to lose that one, absolutely, I think that there would be talk, and fairly so, about the future. Because if you're Brian McBride or you are Ernie Stewart right now, the leaders and the ones that make the decision for this team, if you have any inkling that going to the World Cup is in jeopardy, then you need to do your job, which is to say, do I make a change in order to get us to the World Cup? Because that is the only thing that's important. I don't think that ultimately happens. I think they win against Honduras, and I think that Gregg Berhalter continues on. And look, objectively, when you look at what Gregg Berhalter has done over the last couple of years, it's pretty incredible what he has done. Now, it's limited, especially in the age of COVID. I get that. And we also understand, Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? All right? Okay. And in your last game, you lost against Canada. So you better bring it against Honduras, which I think that they will. And then we're back in a good position points-wise, and we're heading in the right direction. I think Gregg Berhalter absolutely, whether it's from Hercules or anybody else, deserves criticism and needs to take responsibility when the team doesn't play like that or doesn't show what we're talking about here. You can give it a name, whatever it is, heart, spirit, all that kind of stuff, where it's like the Supreme Court, obscenity law. I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. Well, we didn't see it. We didn't see it against Canada. So we sure as hell better see it against Honduras. If I'm freezing my ass up here in Minnesota, then I better come out with 3 points at the very least.
Hey guys, I'm Hercules Gomez, and I got gully with the Cooligans. They're going to tell me what that means, but I did it.
This is one of the reasons why I'm glad you're on the show, because I love putting these situations in your hands. Let's say you are in the position of Ernie Stewart and Brian McBride, and you're looking at the situation we're in right now. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, Berhalter doesn't get the job done. What your next hire, right? The vision of U.S. soccer, the vision of the men's national team, if it's placed in your hands, what do you think we would need next? Is it someone who would carry on this tradition of sort of grit and win at all costs? I don't care if it's ugly, give me 3 points. Or would you want to see a progression of what we're doing now, which is sort of trying to bring the U.S. soccer into that next phase of the sport in the world, which is a bit more progressive, maybe a bit more pressing, and carry that on?
Yeah, I would, again, I keep going back to throwing the baby out. I wouldn't want to discard all of the good work that has been done by Gregg Berhalter. And that's why, yeah, you give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he has earned the benefit of the doubt to kind of see this through. But again, not at the expense of going to a World Cup. So if I really thought that a change needed to be made, it would be specific as to get us to the World Cup. Now, the long-term plan going to 2026, that is important. And I want somebody there that understands that. And look, you're going to get the usual suspects out there, especially with a guy like Jesse Marsch sitting out there. By the way, who's not doing anything right now. Peter Vermes for me is always someone that I think should be looked at. But I'm not in the camp also of saying that we need to do this. We need to do this right away. I also don't believe that it's good to have coaches for multiple cycles. So regardless of where this cycle ends up with Gregg Berhalter, I would really look hard at changing it for that next cycle. But I don't want to regress in terms of the thinking. I want somebody that's going to take the work that's been done and build upon that.
After the loss to Canada, it did make me really actually think about when people are saying Berhalter out. I'm like, all right, is this a real? Are they being genuine about this feeling? I mean, we are currently in second place in World Cup qualifying, and luckily the results that match they worked out pretty well. Mexico drew. I know Panama won, but decent result. So obviously we're operating right now under the assumption that the U.S. won against Honduras and things are in a much better place, because realistically, if the U.S. wins all their matches, the remaining matches, we're going to a World Cup. But I think the thing that's most concerning is probably it's really the offense, right? I mean, the fact that they're really in this World Cup qualifying cycle, these final matches, there haven't really been that many goals, and we haven't really seen much as far as even from Christian Pulisic. Like, should we start holding these star players a little bit more accountable as opposed to really blaming Gregg for everything?
Yeah. Look, the coach is always going to get criticism, and he understands that, whether it's Gregg or anybody else. It comes with the territory. You got to have thick skin. And a lot of the criticism, as I said, is fair. When it comes to Christian Pulisic, how do you solve a problem like Pulisic? And it is a problem right now. I do push back a little bit, because everybody kind of prefaces their criticism of Christian with, like, I don't want to dump on him and I don't want to, hurt him. You're not going to hurt him, okay? It's going to be fine. He can deal with criticism, especially because there's this notion out there that we're asking him to carry not just the U.S. men's national team, but soccer. And that's not the case. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of players right now that are carrying Christian Pulisic. I don't need him to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. I just need him to be consistent and actually be a factor consistently in games, which he hasn't been. So, yeah, that's a problem. And Gregg Berhalter has to find what buttons to push, whether to kick him in the ass or to pat him on the back. That's management, right? When it comes to are we being fair of our criticism of our coach? Look, we're whining. We like to whine. It's okay. It's what sports are. It's about whining right now. I think if Gregg Berhalter wasn't, an American, young, relatively inexperienced, it would be less of that type of criticism. But he knew that going in. He understood that. And I don't think for some people, it doesn't matter what Gregg Berhalter does. They're going to say, even when he is successful, they're going to say, yes, but somebody else could have done more with what he has given.
Right. It's such a shame, too, because, I do like sort of some of the things that are happening with the squad. But to Christian's point, it seems that final third, we sort of lost it. And one of the things that makes fans so irate is seeing Giassi's artist start up top. Now, regardless of whether he scores and does a good job, I think part of the frustration is because Gregg Berhalter's system doesn't ask for a, lean off, sort of play off the shoulder type of center forward that is constantly getting shots on goal. It's a bit more of a link up, right? Giassi's artist, does he have a place on this squad? Is there a reason why he's still here? Is it just because his name and where he plays that the fans are upset? What do you see when it comes to Giassi's artist on this team?
All right. Well, so first off, whether you guys understand this, like all of us, coaches have favorites. Okay, this is not a meritocracy.
Why wasn't I anybody's favorite ever? That's another question.
except when you're involved. Then we're all unanimous in our condemnation. So look, Jossie is going to be the punching bag for a lot of people, and I get it to a certain extent. I don't think a lot of it is fair, especially relative to the moment that we are in right now. And let's be honest, we haven't replaced Josie Altidore. And we've had plenty of time to do it, but the hardest thing to do in our game is to score goals. And we have yet to put somebody up there that strikes fear into the opponent. And that's a problem. And we're going through, next man up and auditions. And we've gone through Dike, and we've gone through Jesus Ferreira, and we've gone through Pepe. And now we have, Jossie Zardes going back to the well with Jossie Zardes. And we still have, PFOC and different players out there that could potentially, Josh Sargent. But nobody has really stepped up and said, this is mine. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that scores a goal every single game. It could just be someone that I have to worry about as a center back. And if I'm playing against the U.S. right now, I got to worry about a lot of things, but up top, that's not something I'm worried about.
Right. It's a little it's concerning to say the least, and especially the sort of carousel of who wants this starting job for to be the starting striker for the U.S. and I don't know, is it a thing where do you think Gregg has not given someone a chance long enough, allowed them to make mistakes and grow and build chemistry, as opposed to mixing up the lineup so much?
I mean, again, this is the national team. Why do we have to use the national team as our psychologist or as our as our place to try things out? No, this is the national team. All right, figure it out on your own time. When you come here, you need to perform. If you're having a bad day, your wife left you, your girlfriend spit at you, your dog died, whatever it is, I don't care about that. I'm here to qualify for the World Cup and do well in terms of the soccer team, an elite soccer team that you're invited to. I'm not saying that you don't grow and that there aren't players that grow right now, but that development needs to be done elsewhere. And it's not always a finished product when it finally comes to the national team. I get that, but but maybe when it comes to this particular position, the 9 position, the striker position that we're lacking right now, at some point we got to give somebody a long run and just say, for better or worse, this is what we're going with.
So you know what I just found out? Jonathan David, who plays for the Canadian national team, was born in Brooklyn. Maybe we got to find a way to convince him to play for the USMNT national team.
Think about it, Jonathan.
One-time switch, buddy.
Man, my kingdom for a striker. Jesus.
Martin from Mexico, he got hit pretty bad. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Right.
That went over my head. I mean, I heard that like it really hit him. And he I think that was the moment where both teams were like, all right, we gotta down. This is ridiculous,
Exactly. Remember the good old day when they just threw those soft bags of pee? Remember that?
I know, yeah. Somebody asked me, are you sure that was beer or was it maybe something? I was like, you know what? I mean, in the moment, it's okay. It's nothing champagne can't cure.
Nice. Can we clip that?
Turn it up.
We have to get to our Gully Squad questions. These are our supporters group, our fans that have questions for you. And there's a couple
of fans.
I mean, it's unheard of.
It's both of our moms, and that's it.
So my mom, I'm kidding. Neil Gavoni asked the question: do you like petting zoos? And when are you going to go see a petting zoo play a show? Petting zoo is your nephew's band. That's what he clarified.
Yep. Yeah, I love them.
Wait, have you seen petting zoo play?
No, I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them live, but they rock.
Okay,
from afar.
Right?
Okay.
It sounds like a rock band. That doesn't sound like there's a harp involved. Petting zoo. In any way, shape, or form. This question comes from Peter Carsey, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit already, but you have mentioned that you do see parallels. He said, what parallels do you see between the Canadian squads of this cycle and the U.S. teams that played for in the 90s? And what can the U.S. team learn from their sudden rise to the top. You've kind of alluded to this, but is there one thing that you think you would take from the Canadian team, whether it's tactic or style of play or gumption, and add it to the American team right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, they wanted to muck it up the other day, and they did it. And I again, as much as it hurt me, there was a sense of pride that they're taking a page from our book, and that we are further along in the process that they are. And there might be a point now with this team as it grows where we have much higher expectations, and that type of pressure will get to them as they try to change and evolve going forward. But I mean, look, again, it's so hard to find the words to describe what it is, but you know it when you see it. And there has to be a fight. There has to be a deuce snarl that is a constant for everyone. There has to be a Brian McBride bloody, dripping down his head type of ferocity that exists. There has to be a raw element to the game that actually goes against the refined type of performance that maybe we're looking for. I appreciate that. I think that that's part of what we are, and when we are at our best. And it doesn't mean we can't be beautiful. It doesn't mean we can't be romantic. But you guys know it when you see it, and it's standing up for others. It's not just a physical part of the game, but a mental part of the game. And you see it, and you see glimpses of it. And, Weston will show it here or there. But in totality, all of them recognizing, what? While we might have wanted to, play beautifully the other day against Canada, we're going to get in this bar fight, and I want to see them breaking some bottles.
Yeah, I think I saw it briefly when Ricardo Pepi and Paul Arriola came into the game. Paul Arriola doing a bicycle kick and landing on the goddamn neck. I was like, bro, you good?
He saved himself money on a chiropractor visit. He did it himself. I do have one last question, though. What the hell was Herdman doing with a skin-toned AirPod? Why was he hiding an AirPod? And who are you talking to? Your assistants are behind you. What do you think that was about? Do you have a conspiracy theory about this? Because I got loads.
I mean, listen, he's a strange cat, man, that Herdman. I love him because he is so strange, and he's got this incredible personality, and there's a beautiful arrogance about him, right? Which is strange because Canadians are, they're so nice and they're so humble and they don't want to take credit and all that kind of stuff. But he is the antithesis. He's the anti-Canadian that they love now, because they're like, we had no idea that you could actually be like this and be successful, and yet he is doing that. And as far as what he's listening to, I don't know if he's got somebody upstairs or maybe music. I don't know.
Maybe it's the petting zoos. Huh?
Maybe the petting zoos. Yeah.
Hopefully you like an arrogant guy. Shock.
Last question. This is from me. What were you more interested in? Milan Borjan sweatpants or Gregg Berhalter sneakers? What is? It's a little fashion question.
Oh, those sweatpants were money. Are you kidding me? I mean, listen, I'm over the sneaker thing with Gregg, and he probably is. No, he probably isn't. He still likes it. But I mean, those sweatpants were such a beautiful throwback. I was so nostalgic, and like the indoor soccer of it, and the Sunday league of it, and then to back it up with just some incredible saves. He would piss me off if I was playing against him, and yet I want him on my team.
I get it.
We are the funniest soccer podcast that you've ever listened to.
Now we're the funniest soccer television show you've ever watched.
Okay, all right.
And not just that, it just so happens that we the gulliest.
Always an absolute honor. We have to get to our Golazo gift. This is your opportunity to celebrate a goal. Alexis will give you a scenario, and we will turn that celebration into a gift that will live on the internet forever. So, Alexis, what would you suggest for Mr. Lalas?
For some reason, Alexi, you are calling the match, and at the last second, they bring on a guy with a long, curly red hair and a long, curly red chin beard, and that guy scores a header in the last second to qualify us for the World Cup. You look down on that man. How do you celebrate that goal?
So how do I celebrate his goal?
Yes. Yeah. Because, wait, come on, you're calling the match, so you can't be in it.
So I wish I had a bottle of tequila
basically
here.
the ghost of Alexi Lalas just scored a header.
All right, can I move, or how am I doing?
Whatever you got to do.
Okay, all right, so here we go.
Please be wearing pants. All right, great.
Love it. Okay.
All right, perfect.
I love the little behind the chair bounce. That was built the anticipation. Alexi Lalas, thank you so much for joining us. Always an honor. The people watching this, you will have already, the game will have already aired, the Honduras game. But is there anything else you want to let people know about? You want to plug?
Well, first off, I want to thank you guys. And, a lot of us that kick the ball get a tremendous amount of credit and attention. But the reality is that people like you and so many others, men and women out there, each and every day, they're pushing this boulder up the hill, and it's not easy. It's a labor of love, but it's not easy because it is a labor. And I have so much respect for everything that you've done and what you have carved out for yourself, and the love and the passion that you bring to the storytelling, the comedy, but most importantly, the sport, because we are. We fight amongst ourselves, we have civil wars and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately it's La Cosa Nostra, right? It is our thing, and you are a huge part of that. So thank you for having me, and thank you for all the years of service to the sport here in the country. You can find me on Twitter at times at Alexi Lalas, and Instagram and all the different things. State of the Union, myself and David Mossy podcast over there at Fox, and then we're getting ready for here in Minnesota. The game will have been done by the time you are watching this, but you can see me. If there's people kicking a ball, man, women, co-ed, naked, I'm going to be talking about it.
Hey, and by the way, to all the Gully Squad members who asked us questions, you knew we couldn't ask him this. Phil tweeted at Alexi Lalas. He will respond.
Yeah, you get in Alexi's comment section. He does the right thing every day. He gives everybody an opportunity. He says, what criticism or hypocrisy are we talking about today?
Yeah. Yell at me now.
Feel free to join in. Alexi, thank you again for joining us, and thank you for the kind words. Look, some people are huge fans of you, some people are not. But as far as your duty and to the game, and you've been loyal for years, and to be a peer with Alexi, we couldn't even have imagined that we would be in this situation. So thank you so much. All right, everybody, make sure you follow us at Soccer Cooligans on all social channels. Follow at Fubo Sports, and subscribe to the Fubo Sports YouTube channel for more clips and full episodes of the show. All right, Alexi, let us end the show the way we normally do, as is tradition. So please join us in this. So for Alexi Lalas, my name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros.
And together, what are we?
The Cooligans! Yeah.
Boom.